And Joe had some ideas. Joe had some really good script ideas. So you can see that it got collaborated on over the better part of 3 decades.
Yeah, wow. That's
So yeah, it was, scripts go on these journeys all by themselves.
Hey everyone, it's David Stark from Watcher Pass. Today I'm talking to Dennis Paoli about Suitable Flesh, which comes to theaters, digital, and on demand on October 27, 2023. I'm going to talk to him right now, and while you're watching, if you can like and subscribe to this channel, that would be fantastic. Helps me out a lot. Thank you. So, thanks so much for joining me today. I've got Dennis Paoli, the screenwriter of Suitable Flesh, which is coming to theaters, digital, and on demand on October 27, 2023. It is a film that is based on an H.P. Lovecraft novel that Dennis adapted for the screen. It has a really great cast, some good practical effects, and it deals with a little bit of psychology and the supernatural. So I'm very excited to talk to you.
A little bit.
A little bit. Awesome. So first question, like, what made you want to adapt this story? Is this something you read earlier that you thought would be time to bring to the screen? Or, I don't know, yeah, how did you kind of get this idea in your head?
Way earlier. This goes back to when I was working with Stuart Gordon, who was my collaborator for a long time and my best friend going back before that. And we had done several relatively successful Lovecraft adaptations. We did Re-Animator and From Beyond. Castle Freak was a very loose adaptation. And Stuart was working on Dagon, which was an adaptation of several Lovecraft stories in one. And we were trying to identify the next film, the next adaptation we would do. And we both really liked the story, The Thing on the Doorstep. We both liked it a lot. As Lovecraft goes, there's more narrative in it than a lot of his stories, a lot of his stories are really just suggestive. They're full of troubling and disturbing imagery, if not horrifying imagery, but they're very suggestive as opposed to narrative. This had more narrative to it. We thought it would make a really good movie. So I wrote the script, and Stuart liked it. And he put on his producer's hat and brought it around to other production companies and couldn't get it made. Got it optioned, couldn't get it made. Got it optioned again, couldn't get it made. Got it optioned for a third time and couldn't get it made. And each time we tweaked it a little to try to get it made. And it didn't get made every time for the same reason. And I'll let you guess what that reason is. But it didn't get made and didn't get made and it was sitting in a drawer. And then Stuart, unfortunately, at the beginning of the pandemic, Stuart passed away. And I did a number of Zoom memorials for Stuart and reconnected with Barbara Crampton, who I, had known from the earlier films and had run into at a number of fantasy film conventions and festivals. But we reconnected. I reconnected with her when I flew out for Stuart's live memorial in LA. And she asked me if I had any scripts in the box. And I said, well, I wrote this one for Stuart. What do you think? And she loved it. She showed it to her producing partners. They loved it. And then she did the thing that got it made, which was to show it to Joe Lynch, the director. And once they got Joe on the scene, it was going to get made. And it was a package that Shudder and other producers couldn't turn down. And Joe had some ideas. Joe had some really good script ideas. So you can see that it got collaborated on over the better part of 3 decades.
Yeah, wow.
So yeah, it was, scripts go on these journeys all by themselves sometimes. You write something and it goes out there into the world and it does or doesn't do something. But it sort of has this life of its own. I've been really fortunate to be connected to a number of stories that we've written for the screen and the stage that have gone on. They have these lives of their own that go out there, around the world or around on stages around the country and continent. And it's just been really fun But what it really means is that you're working with geniuses. I got to work with Stewart, I got to work with Barbara, I got to work with Jeffrey Combs, and I got to work with Joe Lynch. And Brian Usno. Let's put Brian in there. And that was, they're great at what they do. And that's and it being a collaborative business, that means the projects were as good as they probably could have been when they ended up on the screen or on the stage.
Yeah, once you get Barbara Crampton and anything horror, like that is just kind of a silver bullet. Like that's all you need. It's just like done.
And, exactly. And she's not just, now she's a producer. When I first met her, she was an actress. She was a scream queen and one of the best. Look at her performance sometime in Castle Freak. She's a serious actress. She is terrific. She's terrific in this film, but now she's a producer. She does all of those things really well. And the scary thing that she does really well is look so good. Doesn't she look like just about the same as she did?
I was going to say both Heather Graham and Barbara Crampton look like they're timeless. Like I couldn't tell how old they were in the film. They both look like they were in their prime.
Yeah, and it's wonderful that you say that because it fits the theme of the film. It's about this timelessness of identity. Are we? Is our identity, connected to the present, or does our identity stretch way into the past and struggle to continue into the future? And the fact that you're right that they're both these timeless beauties is stunningly connected to the central theme of the film.
And for this film, you said that it was multiple decades. I was curious, like I was going to ask, did you have to update kind of the themes and some of the technology from the original story to make it now? But it sounds like you might have had to update and tweak the film as it was going through its life cycle to kind of modernize it with current time.
Yeah, no, it happened over and over. Yeah, at some point I had to add cell phones. It was early. I did it early enough that you didn't have to use cell phones. But at some point I had to add cell phones. At some point, the blah blah blah. If you go back 25, 30 years, it's a flip phone, and now it's But have you seen the film?
I have, yeah. So the general themes are like you said, timeless.
About the car sequence.
Yeah.
And the car was always in the film. That's something, an adaptation I made from the story. Although a couple of scenes in the story take place in a car, it doesn't use a car in the way we use it in the film. But that was an adaptation I made. And then Joe made the adaptation of using the console, and and what a console can do today, which and so it no spoiler alert, spoilers here, but it is sweet. It really works great.
I thought it was very clever because at first I was like, "What's?" And then I saw it and I was like, "Oh, that's amazing!" Like I saw the use of it.
Yeah, Joe did some great work. Joe has the chops. Joe has all the filmmaking chops you could possibly have, and he uses a lot of them here. And he doesn't just use them for fun; he uses them to tell the story. And again, it's like collaborating with somebody who's really good. So yes. The gender switch and working with Joe allowed me to refresh the story, but the fact is a lot of it didn't change. The script is very much, in terms of the story itself, of the rhythm of the scenes and the story, the way the narrative plays out, is very much the way it was when I wrote it 25 years ago.
Very cool. And I think I caught like a Cthulhu reference in there. Was that in the original story, or was that something that you added to kind of like tie in more H.P. Lovecraft to this film?
It's always the cosmic horror is behind all of Lovecraft stories. Behind every wall, in every room that a Lovecraft story takes place in, there's another dimension with horrible creatures, with either witches or horrible creatures or shoggoths, or that can dimensions allowing impose themselves upon our dimension in horrific fashion. So that's always there. Cthulhu exists in some form or another as an idea in almost all of Lovecraft stories. So, Lovecraft stories are very suggestive, and require you to engage your imagination in it, because he doesn't show you some things. He just shows you the effect that some things have on other people, how horrifying it is to them. And he rarely shows you the thing itself. But we make movies. You got to show it. It's a movie.
Yeah.
So we take the liberty, while trying to be faithful in spirit to Lovecraft, to show what our worst imaginations can come up with. And in that sense, we don't necessarily, we show the Necronomicon, we show the horrific Lovecraftian imagery, but it's not, the story isn't steeped in it. It's part of the adventure that these characters are going on.
Exactly. And so you can check out that suggested horror and the real horror imagery that they have in this film. The film is Suitable Flesh. It's coming to theaters, digital, and on demand on October 27th, 2023. This is the screenwriter, Dennis Paoli. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. This was fun. Thank you a lot.
Thank you so much. That was Dennis Paoli talking about Suitable Flesh, which is coming to theaters, digital, and on demand on October 27, 2023. It is an unsettling horror thriller that deals with mental health and the supernatural. It's based on a story by H.P. Lovecraft and has a really good cast and some really good practical effects. If you like this interview, please like and subscribe to this channel. It helps me out a lot. Make sure all my new content goes straight to you. Thank you.